we will be discussing Justice Ruth Bader Ginsberg's recent passing and what implications it may have on the future of the Supreme Court.
Followed by a look at the recent announcement of LA and Orange County schools reopening.
And finally, we're committed to bringing you the news, views, and info to go on this episode of the report, Roundtable Discussion. I'm Jorge Flores.
I'm Amanda Mendoza.
I'm Brie Eastlick.
And I'm Andrea Carvajal. As you can see, we are continuing to practice social distancing and are going to conduct our episodes via Zoom for the foreseeable future. Although we cannot be together in person, we invite you all to continue to be part of the discussion. Follow us on Twitter at The Report CSUF or on our Titan TV Instagram at Titan TV CSUF to keep in touch with us and view our new content.
Guys, let's start with our first news bomb. Last weekend, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsberg died to complications from pancreatic cancer. She was 87 years old. She left behind a legacy as a champion for justice, often delivering progressive votes on social issues such as same-sex marriage, voting rights, abortion rights, and more. Being only the second woman ever appointed to the Supreme Court, she was loved by many, earning the nickname of Notorious RBG. However, with fewer than 2 months until Election Day, her replacement has now become a political battleground before her death. She told her granddaughter, quote, "My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed," end quote. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has already voted to vote on the Senate floor for whomever President Donald Trump nominates to replace her. There's a lot of things to talk about. First of all, I think it's very important to mention that we show respect to her family and loved ones. And I think we all admire her ability and her job defending the people from most vulnerable communities. I think that that's the most important thing. Now, I want to ask you something, guys. What do you think about just nominating someone after this great person died? In my opinion, I am completely against this because what happened, if we go back in time in 2016, the Republican Party, they just refused the nomination from President Barack Obama. So why are they going to do it this time in 2020? We are in political tension, and I don't think it's a good idea just to vote for someone. I really believe that someone like Justice Ginsburg, she deserves the respect for at least after the elections, then we can start thinking about the nomination. Because another thing, guys, is that what happens if there's a turnout? What happens if the Democrat Party wins over the majority of the Senate? Things will be completely different, and probably it's not gonna be the same as the 5 conservative and 3 liberal at the Supreme Court justice. Probably that could change. So what do you think? What do you think, Brie?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one thing to point out, first of all, I completely agree with you. I'm totally against it as well, in my own opinion. But one thing to point out is Obama, when he was like giving his tribute to RBG, and he did a very thoughtful and great tribute that I really enjoyed reading. You could tell that he had a lot of respect for her, and he's even come out and said, you know, I have a soft spot for her. But one thing that he said in his tribute was, towards the end, he said, quote, "A basic principle of the law and of everyday fairness is that we apply rules with consistency and not based on what's convenient or advantageous in the moment," end quote. So, you know, even Obama's on our side, you know, thinking that, you know, we need to wait and we need to do what's fair and what's right. And with this much time, it's not right to do so because they aren't going to fully be able to think about who they want as the nominee. They're just going to want to, you know, get it out there to basically say that they did and get a Republican in there instead of really thinking through who they want. Another thing is that even GOP is skeptical about offering up a nominee because it typically takes 2 to 3 months to process. And that's according to a review of recent confirmation proceedings. And that's from CNN as well. So I think, you know, there's a lot going on here. We have too much going on before the election to really, you know, get that nominee in. So I think you're right. It's time to step back, worry about voting, thinking about who we're voting for, and of course, get out and vote. Let's not forget that we have to get out and vote. But what do you guys think?
Well, I completely agree with you, Brie. And I also think that it's way too soon to talk about a replacement for her. Her family and friends haven't even had enough time to mourn. And yet the day after her death, or at least before a day passed, Mitch McConnell made remarks about voting in a new replacement. And I understand there's concern about who the new Supreme Court justice will be and when they'll be appointed, but to not speak about her legacy so soon seems very disrespectful. And I agree. I think right now we should be focusing on making sure there's good turnout, and that as many people as possible can come out to vote.
I 100% agree with all of you guys, and even our Congresswoman AOC got on Twitter to show that, we're not giving up the fight for RBG, and to go out and vote, do your part, and we will always honor her. She is the notorious RBG, and let's not forget the legacies that she brought into this country. So now let's move on to some more local news. After months of being in limbo, Los Angeles and Orange County schools could be reopening in-person classes very soon with new guidelines. The Los Angeles Unified School District is currently the second largest school district in the nation with over 600,000 people. They're looking to establish small health units to prevent the risk of COVID in elementary school classrooms, in the hopes of reopening them soon. However, school officials are struggling to strategize the best plan for secondary schools. There is currently no date on when LAUSD in-person instruction will resume. Moving further down south, schools in Orange County were able to reopen last Tuesday after meeting state requirements, but many districts have decided to delay their start dates to prepare a hybrid approach to classes. And LA County is in this purple tier, which means they can conduct in-person learning if they meet certain health criteria. But in the OC, these parents, teachers, community members are protesting the coming back for students. So would you guys feel comfortable going back to school? What are your thoughts?
I think it's very important to deliver two kind of points of view. The first one is that if I'm a parent, I wouldn't like my child to go to school right now because I will be fearing if there is any kind of contact with other peers, even though if it's something super small. I think that's gonna bring a lot of fear into my family, and whenever I want to pick him or her off the school, then I bring her to my place, I will feel very, very insecure. Now, if we move into this topic about should they reopen or not, well, we know that university or higher education levels, they are not reopening until maybe spring or fall of the next year. So why is there much pressure from elementary or high school students to reopen? I don't think it's safe for them to reopen, since if higher education, they are not reopening, and we're talking about people from 18 to 25 years old, why are the kids going to go to school right now? I don't find this a very good decision. I think it's something that we should remove out of the political agenda from our politicians and our representatives. And I'll be in favor of the protest for not reopening right now. What do you think, Amanda?
I completely agree. And I think that there's no guarantee that the kids' parents even follow social distancing and safety procedures. And so if they're able to spread that to the kids could spread that to other kids. And also think about the teachers in the classroom. They're not as immune to COVID. And so I think it would really put everyone at risk. And also consider the facts that especially young kids, such as elementary schoolers, they may not have an idea of how to stay hygienic. So they may not always wash their hands, or they may want to share masks with their friends. And so I think it's a very big risk to put everyone here in danger of contracting COVID. What do you think, Bree?
I am kind of torn, to be honest. I do think that they should wait until the red tier, but also who knows when that will be for sure, when they will be able to get back down there. But one thing that I want to point out is, okay, so if you've watched the show before, you guys know I'm from Placer County. I'm from up north, right next to Sacramento. We actually have started reopening schools up here. So I think that one thing that we can look at is, for Orange County and these other districts, they can look at us and see what we're doing up here too. I understand that we have less people. We have about 400,000 in Placer County. But I think that we can show the example of how it's going to work, especially because they're going to have to really think about all of the people that are in their schools. But yeah, so the elementary school right down the street from my house just announced that they're opening October 6th. But what I really like is that parents were able to say beforehand, before they go into school, they're like, okay, do you want to be online for the rest of the semester, or do you want to send your kid to school? So I like that they're giving the opportunity for parents to really choose what they're gonna be doing with their kid. If they don't feel safe, then they don't have to send their kid in. But you know what, guys, how about we move on over to some school news at CSUF? As of the November 5th general election approaches, CSUF's Titan Student Union and the Irvine campus have announced that they will be open for Orange County residents to vote from October 30th through November 3rd. The TSU was selected for its large size that will help voters maintain social distance while voting. Other precautions will be taken, such as providing hand sanitizer stations, gloves, face masks, and wiping down high-touch surfaces. No voter will be turned down if they are not wearing a face covering, but they will be offered a disposable mask to use. As part of the ballot bowl, a statewide competition between other California colleges to get students to vote, CSUF is encouraging voting among eligible students, staff, and faculty. Currently, CSUF is in first place in terms of voter turnout. And I think that is so great of us to be first in voter turnout. I think that it's awesome that our school, has been chosen to be able to be a voting station. I think it's going to be very convenient for people around us, and also for the students that are living on campus who might have been worried about where am I going to vote? Am I going to be able to get there? And I think a lot of people are very excited to be able to go back on campus to vote. Also, what else is going on campus anyway? I think it's a great time to turn our campus into a voting station because nothing's going on anyway besides a few classes. I'm hoping that it'll continue to increase voter turnout, but I don't know if that'll really change it. And also, what about the face mask requiring? Do you think that it's fair that they're going to let people vote who aren't wearing a face mask?
I personally do have a class on campus and it is a complete ghost town. But I do see the precautions that they have been taking. Everything has hand sanitizers. You have to put on your mask when you're on campus. There's just so many precautions that I do feel comfortable that they're using the TSU. They even said that the Orange County Register of Voters said the TSU is perfect due to its size because it's big enough to allow social distancing. So even though they may not allow masks, which I think is a little critical just in case if there is cases caught during that time, they may shut down the school, and that would not really benefit me as I do have a class on campus and others want to go back to school, and it is a commuter school, so not many people live around there, but it does benefit those that have housing or friends and family that they can encourage to come and vote there. So there are pros and cons to it, but I do like the idea of having it in the TSU.
Totally. I completely agree with you, Brie. I feel very optimistic about this opportunity that now CSUF is going to be the host as a ballot station. I think this is very necessary. And also because if we just think about the CSU system in California, of course, there are more than 400,000 students able to vote. That's a big turnout in our state. So I completely agree with it. I feel very optimistic. I encourage everyone to vote because these elections, they're historic, they're very important. And take advantage from this opportunity. If you are a CSUF student, go and vote, have the opportunity. And also, of course, you gotta be very conscious about the health protocols. So wear your face mask, even gloves, have your social distancing, but vote.
Exactly, Jorge. And I think this is a good opportunity to encourage other college students to get out there and vote. And I feel like it's a good way to deter any hesitation that college students might be feeling that this isn't safe. But by providing face masks and hand sanitizer, I think we'll make a lot more college students feel comfortable and be willing to go out there and just vote. I think this is a very historic moment in time. And so I think it's very important that everybody just contributes. And now let's turn it over to some celebrity news. Last week, Ellen DeGeneres started off the season premiere of her hit talk show with an apology during her opening monologue. This follows a series of allegations made by several current and former staff members against the harsh working environment and discrimination they faced.
I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected. I know that I'm in a position of privilege and power, and I realize that with that comes responsibility, and I take responsibility for what happens at my show.
After an internal investigation launched at Warner Brothers Studios in July, DeGeneres said the quote, necessary changes, unquote, have since been made and added, quote, we're starting a new chapter, unquote. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think that any changes will occur on sets? And how do you think this will impact television as a whole?
Yeah, I think that one thing to look at though is, I don't know if it'll really impact the show as a whole. I do like how she came out and apologized. And I personally feel like it was pretty sincere. And I really hope that she'll continue, to follow along with her apology and be good behind the scenes. But what I'm looking at is, look at the times we're in. I feel like talked a lot about canceling people a lot on social media. They're always, every few months, I feel like a new person is being canceled. And so I think that what we need to do is hope that what she's been doing behind the scenes will change, and then we can make a new distinction, like whether we think how she's going to be in the future. I think she's done so much for the world. She has her own organization. She's donated so much money, given money to people in need. So I think that right now I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt that what's going on behind the scenes will change. And I really hope that that's true.
I completely agree. I've also heard that some people did not think her apology was very sincere, and I hope she takes all these criticisms that are coming at her and do the necessary change, as she said. Cancel culture is a really big thing, and she, like Bree said, has changed a lot of people's lives, but she should also change those who are working close to her.
I'll say one last thought, guys, and this is that we're human beings, and people under influence and power, sometimes it's hard to keep it up with this good and positive energy towards each other. So I'll also give her the benefit of the doubt, and hopefully that she's going to be okay with her staff members and everything goes well in the future. So let's hope the best.
Definitely. And with that, that's all the time we have today on the Report Roundtable Discussion. Have a safe weekend, everyone, and stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Amanda Mendoza.
I'm Jorge Flores.
I'm Bree Eastlick.
And I'm Andrea Carvajal. As always, stay fresh, Fullerton.